Planning a trip to Universal and you want to stay at one of the top tier resorts, but not sure which one's right for you? Watch this video and find out.
Today, we're helping you plan your next vacation to Universal if you're looking to stay at a premier resort on site. Now, we've stayed at all three of these hotels. We really enjoyed our experience, but let's talk about the pros and cons that you get with each.
There really aren't many cons, so.
No, not at all.
Short list. There are three premier resorts to pick from when staying at Universal Orlando. Number 1, Royal Pacific. Number 2, Portofino Bay. And number 3, Hard Rock. They each have their unique qualities about them and their own unique reasons of why we think that you should stay there. First things first, what do you get when you stay at any of the premier resorts? These are things that you'll get regardless, whether it's at Hard Rock, Royal Pacific, or Portofino Bay.
One of the biggest. Let's just get it out of the way right now. We already know when you stay at a premier resort, you get unlimited Express Pass. From the day you check in till the day you check out, you have unlimited Express Pass for everybody in your room. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm a fan of having unlimited Express Pass so I can jump on the rides whenever I'd like.
Game changer.
Really it is. When Express Pass saves you that much time, you've got so much more opportunities to ride more rides, to eat more food, to go have more fun overall. So factoring in that Express Pass really pays off when booking a premier hotel.
At the time of this video, it's spring break. And things to consider is a one-day unlimited Express Pass currently is about $370.
Because it's spring break.
Because it's spring break and it's super busy. Definitely factor that in when you're pricing out whether you want to stay at a premier resort or not.
The second perk you get when staying at any of the premier hotels is you have access to a water taxi. Some people might not need the water taxi, but at the end of a long day, it's really nice to get off of those Lambo feeties and have a boat drive you home, especially on a long day, going and doing HHN houses and whatnot. Like, having somebody drive you back and not have to do a walk back to your hotel room, it's nice.
Not to disparage the walking paths. The walking paths are beautiful. Garden views, see the water, you see the sort of lagoon. Definitely don't underestimate the walking paths either.
No, but having access to a water taxi, if they're gonna add something in, like, that's not a bad perk to have added in when you're staying at a premier hotel. And last but not least, number 3, a perk that you get when staying at a premier hotel is you actually have priority seating at Universal restaurants. Now, this is a perk that we have not taken full advantage of, if we're being perfectly honest. We've stayed at these different premier hotels, and more often than not, we book reservations ahead of time. That said, if you don't book a reservation ahead of time, you can flash your room key when you're going to a restaurant and let them know that you're staying at one of the premier hotels, and you should receive priority seating when it comes to getting you into those restaurants. Who knows how quickly that is? Right now, again, at the time of filming, it is spring break. I would imagine if a restaurant's really busy, it might take a little while still, but good to know. Good to have in your back pocket, and something that when we stay at our next premier hotel, we might give it a try when we go to a restaurant. If you have utilized the priority seating, put a comment in this video. We'd really love to hear how that experience went for you. Let's talk about what are the differences in these premier hotels? And one of the first pieces we're gonna cover is location.
Location, location, location.
The location of the hotel does play a little bit of a factor when it comes to booking things in. When you wanna be first in line to rope drop, when you wanna have a nice break and get out of the parks, when you just kinda wanna be able to pop back to your hotel because, oh my gosh, I forgot something. Location really helps. And so let's talk a little bit about where Royal Pacific, Hard Rock, and Portofino are relative to the parks, and about how long it takes to get from point A to point B when walking around.
So the first hotel we'll talk about is Royal Pacific. Royal Pacific is on the island side of the Universal Orlando complex. It's behind City Walk, so you'll take the walking path and you'll go past Margaritaville and be one of the closest hotels to Islands. So if early park admission is at Islands, or you plan on spending most of your time at Islands, Royal Pacific might be the hotel for you.
When we stayed at Royal Pacific last, we found that it was about a 10 to 12 minute walk, and it went by pretty quickly. It wasn't a busy walking path, it was really well maintained, and generally speaking, it was fairly close and quick for us. If you're an islands person and you're really spending a lot of time over there, maybe something you want to look at as far as which location to book for your convenience.
The second location we'll talk about is Hard Rock. Hard Rock is probably the closest to any park, and it's on the studio side. When we stayed at Hard Rock, what do you think? It was probably a five-minute walk to
I think we were
studios?
excited, so it was only 5 minutes. I think if we were taking our time, it could be up to 7, but that's under 10 minutes, so that's a win.
It was so close that most of the time we didn't even take the water taxi because walking was just as fast.
I don't think we ever took the water taxi when we stayed at Hard Rock, come to think about it. It was easier for us and probably quicker to just walk because we would have had to wait longer had we taken the water taxi.
So if you're looking to stay closer to studios during probably that Halloween Horror Nights time frame, definitely look at Hard Rock because that ability to get to and from your hotel quickly is a game changer when it comes to the end of the night during Halloween Horror Nights.
Or any long night in the park, really. The last hotel that we'll talk about is Portofino Bay. Portofino Bay is also on the studios side of the complex. It's past Hard Rock, and it takes about a good 10-minute walk, maybe up to 12. We plan 15 minutes out when we're going for early park admission to make sure we get to the security checkpoint on time, if not a little early. The walk, though, is beautiful. You get to walk around the nice lagoon, you get to watch the water taxis go by, and then you get to see Hard Rock as you're going as well. If for some reason halfway through the walk you're really tired, jump on that Hard Rock water taxi and they can take you in the rest of the way. We've never done that, but who knows?
The walk from Portofino feels longer than the walk from Royal Pacific. Even though they're probably about the same, I don't really know why. Maybe Portofino's like a straighter path than Royal Pacific, but I think they ultimately end up being about the same.
So based off of those pieces, determine what location feels best to you. There's a couple more factors to weigh in when it comes to booking your hotel, but if location's a big thing for you, or if just the mobility of getting to a hotel is very important, I definitely think that that is a piece to consider when planning your next hotel to stay at. The next factor you should consider when booking your Universal vacation is theming. What type of theme do you want to be surrounded by during your stay at Universal? First off, let's talk about Royal Pacific.
Imagine a tropical getaway. The waves crashing across the beach, the seagulls in the air, wind running through the palms. A relaxing tropical getaway. If that sounds nice to you, Royal Pacific is the place for you.
It is the place for you. Royal Pacific is beautiful and all of these are extremely well themed, but so well themed. When you go to Royal Pacific and you walk in that entryway, you have the lagoon, and I don't know if that's a lagoon underneath, but the bay, you've got palms, and then you come on in and it's a nice open and airy space, I guess I'll call it. It makes you feel like you're at a tropical getaway. Universal has done a fantastic job on really theming the whole entirety of this space. Now, when we were there, it was Christmas time, so there was a large Christmas tree when we walked in. That won't be the case all the time, but the theming at Royal Pacific is tropical. If you like tropical, this place might be for you.
Fountain in the middle is amazing. The hardwood accents truly add to that sort of island vibe that Royal Pacific gives off.
And then the hotel rooms themselves, I think, are really pretty, to be perfectly honest. I really like, I don't know what kind of flower it was, but a nice purple orchid on the background when you walk into the hotel room. It felt very clean, it felt very nice. It just, again, well themed.
Very relaxing.
Through and through. If that's your style, Royal Pacific, right up your avenue. However,
if you want to party like a rock star,
Hard Rock is the way to go. Hard Rock is really focused on making you feel like you are rock royalty. From the time you pull up and you see the giant guitar fountain, to walking into the lobby and there's Taylor Swift and Bruno Mars and all of these different kind of like historical garb that people have worn as artists for their music and what have you. Like, they do such a good job. The first time we visited Hard Rock, we weren't really sure if it was going to be something that we'd enjoy. It would just be a little too much, a little too loud.
Too much stimulus.
Yeah, a little too much going on, and it's not. I was really happy about that.
Same.
From the idea of like we could still enjoy the, I'll say, the craziness that could be.
Yeah, the contrast to the parks.
Yeah, the busyness that could be what was the Hard Rock theme, and it's not overstimulating at all. You could still go back, you could still have a really nice time at the hotel. Again, very clean and well kept, but fun in its own unique way of colorful and kind of exciting, but not overpowering.
We're talking about the room. There are accents galore in the room. You've got the height of all the famous musicians on the mirror. You've got drumsticks as an accoutrement to the decor in the room. You've got musical homages on the pillows, like tons of theming in the room itself to go along with the overall aesthetic of the Hard Rock.
Not to mention, you can also have a Fender guitar sent back to your room and you can use it for the day. Like, what hotel allows you to do that? I don't know. And you can also, I believe, have a record player delivered to your room as well if you know, playing with a guitar is not your thing. But if you're into music and old school rock and roll memorabilia, Hard Rock is the way to go. And then finally, take a trip to Italy and let's talk about Portofino Bay.
A lush, open bay surrounded by Vespas.
Yes, and boats.
And boats.
Yes.
And minions running around.
And suddenly in the background, there's a man standing on the balcony singing opera music.
Serenading you at the end of the night.
Yes. Portofino Bay is so unique and so all-encompassing when it comes to really making you feel like you're in Italy. One of the most unique pieces, as you walk into the lobby, you get checked in and then you go down the halls to go to your hotel room, is the way that they've actually decorated makes you feel like you're walking down like alleys in Portofino. It is like nothing I've ever experienced at a hotel. Like I have no words because it is so unique.
It's incredible, but we also got super lost.
That's true too.
We got directions from the front desk and got completely lost because we got so turned around in the alleyways.
Portofino Bay is a large hotel compared to some, but it's fun. The rooms themselves are probably the least themed of the three. They are upscale for sure.
For sure.
Like, I remember when our very first trip to Portofino Bay, because we've gone there a couple times, we kind of walked in and we're like, this is nice, this looks good. But compared to the theming of what you get at Royal Pacific and what you get at Hard Rock, there are not as many detail pieces in the room that make you go like, ooh, you're in Portofino.
There's some artwork that like,
I think it's just generic,
homage,
maybe.
But yeah, like comparatively, it's super low. Super
yeah,
low.
but the rooms are nice.
Rooms are very nice.
It feels like you have very high quality items when you're in the room, from the linens to just where you're staying, and then just generally speaking, the space is big. There was plenty of space for the two of us and us to just strew our stuff about in the room. And one of my favorite things about Portofino Bay is the bathrooms are huge.
Yeah.
Much larger than Hard Rock and much larger than Royal Pacific. Both of them have nice bathrooms as well, but Portofino Bay, you get double sinks.
Double vanity, yeah.
We each get our own sink, and then if somebody's at the sink, there's also just room to walk around in the bathroom area itself. So take that with a grain of salt when it comes to planning. Theming is nice. Maybe you're not getting as much theming in the room at Portofino Bay, but you're getting a bit more space, it feels like. Let's talk a little bit about pricing, because I think that might be the biggest determining factor when it comes to where you want to book your next stay.
So unanimously, we've found that Royal Pacific is generally the cheapest of the three premier resorts. Now, take that with a grain of salt. You will have to obviously check when you're going to your next Universal Orlando vacation, what the prices are. Royal Pacific might be the most expensive when you're going, but
Probably not.
For the most part, we found
Yeah.
that Royal Pacific is the cheapest of the three.
You're not as close when you're at Royal Pacific as you are at Hard Rock, and you don't get as big of a room as you do at Portofino Bay. So I think it's understandable that the pricing for Royal Pacific is going to be a little bit lower than what you'd see at the other two. In contrast, pricing for Hard Rock and Portofino tends to be a little bit more than Royal Pacific. Depending on the time of year and different factors, the pricing at Hard Rock and Portofino will vary significantly. When booking your trip, really take a look at your options there, and it will depend on what time of year is it. Is it summertime? Is it HHN season? Is it winter break time? Like, are people booming at the park? Is it crazy busy or is it not? Why do we say that? Well, because it impacts the price. Hard Rock is the smallest hotel on site at Universal. Being the smallest has its perks, I guess, but because Hard Rock is the smallest and the closest to the park, it also has some of the greatest demands at times. So when it is busy, particularly Halloween Horror Night season, Hard Rock gets filled up quick, which means that if you're looking for a room and you're fighting for a space, the pricing is going to go up because more people want that room too. That said, it really does vary around the year which one is higher, whether it's Portofino or Hard Rock. We've seen it go back and forth, but because you're getting a larger room at Portofino, there are more times than not we've seen Portofino's price be a little bit higher. It does vary, it really does.
An important note as we release this video though is that Portofino is undergoing some long-term construction and maintenance. So if you don't want the construction noise or some of the renovations that are going on at Portofino, definitely take that under advisement.
So my question to you, of the three, which is your favorite?
I think ultimately my favorite is still Portofino Bay when it's not under construction.
Yeah.
I think the double vanity and the size that you get for Portofino can't be understated. I loved the Hard Rock. Hard Rock was a great hotel and it was super close to the parks, but having that double vanity for us in particular was a game changer.
We like our space.
I also think the bay at Portofino Bay is incredible. Like that theming is amazing. A stark contrast from the stimulus of the parks, and it really makes you feel like you're getting away from the parks at the end of the night.
It does. That is one thing that I remember you pointing out to me when we stayed at Royal Pacific is when we would be outside at the Royal Pacific Hotel, Ben could hear the Hulk going. Not that, it goes too late into the night because of noise ordinances, but when you're out at Portofino, you don't hear the park at all. It does really feel like you are remote and you are no longer at the parks. You are at a new space, and that is where you're staying.
For the audience though, where did we book for HHN?
So after talking through these, the pros and cons, the location, what you get for a hotel room, and the pricing, we decided that we would book our hotel, which it's already scheduled. We're all set to go. We are really excited. Please announce the date soon. We booked for Royal Pacific. And mainly that was because we felt good about what we were getting for our hotel in the space. We don't mind the distance and where it's located, and really like that we can have a nice early morning on the island side. And last but not least is we saved about $400 total at our stay by choosing to go to Royal Pacific, which we're going to reuse that money towards doing other fun things at HHN. Just because we really enjoy Portofino Bay and that is our favorite, doesn't mean that we're always stuck at one of the premier hotels versus the others. I think it's safe to say that we will continue to bounce around between the three and enjoy all of them in their entirety for what you get. I don't think that you have to stick to just one because you can go back there later on.
If you have any questions about any of the Universal Premier Resorts, like we said in the beginning, we've stayed at them all, so hopefully we can help you further decide on which Premier Resort that you should stay at on your next Universal Orlando vacation.
And if you've stayed at a Premier Resort, tell us in the comments which one's your favorite and which one's your least favorite. I'm happy to talk more about that and see what you guys enjoy.
If you got something out of this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Stick around for more Universal content. Thanks for watching.